pjnet.tv. It is 9:01 East Coast time of the United States, and we are running a bumper. We are recording, we are streaming, and we are counting down to Studio 8. Well, good evening and welcome to pjnet.tv. I'm your host, Coach Prasick, and as you can tell behind me are the initials DC. That stands for the name on your screen being spelled out as we speak is Doug Carter, and he's our guest on the first Monday of every month. How can today be the 7th and it still be the first Monday? Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm looking at a calendar. It works out that way. And we always enjoy having Doug in our chat room. He's there almost every night. And he just got back from a road trip, and I'm sure he will have plenty to share with us. Folks, you're going to have to kind of bear with a little echo sound back there because for some reason we're having to use our phone to communicate instead of the studio. But anyway, Doug, I'm glad you're able to join us. Great job, by the way, on that graphic that you made promoting your appearance tonight. I appreciate the extra effort that you put in.
Thanks, Coach. It's always a pleasure to be on. I really appreciate you having me here.
All right. Well, you've been on the road. Now, you honestly are on the road quite a bit, so that doesn't surprise me. But this time you were on the road to the Macy's Parade of Christian Writers Conferences, the Blue Ridge Mountain. It's got a long name, but it's the big one. And everybody goes there with expectations that are various, and they vary from year to year. Going in, what were your expectations?
Honestly, Coach, I didn't know what to expect. I just wanted to go and meet people. I've made a lot of connections over the last couple of years online, and this was the first chance I had to meet several people, including my editors, Sherry Lynn and Joyce, and then a lot of other people that I've met over the years. I wanted to just kind of rekindle those friendships and just see what God had in store for me. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't go to pitch anything. I did want to bounce some ideas off of people, and that's what I did. And I had a lot of questions that got answered. And I've got a path that I want to follow, and I'm in a good spot. I feel very comfortable with the time that I had there.
Doug, you've been working on a project, well, pretty much ever since I met you a couple of years ago. And the goalposts keep moving, it seems. Do you have any perspective or fresh perspective after talking to people there at the conference of the steps that you're going to take, or have you revised it? Have you given up on it, or what's the future hold? Show us, look into your crystal ball, gaze in there, and tell us how it's going to unfold.
Okay, so basically I've got the summer off. Well, I do have 3 classes that start tomorrow morning, but they're online, so I get to travel and do whatever all summer long, and I'll spend the rest of that time just editing the content that I've got. So I sat down with Victoria Doorstock, and I said, "Listen, I've got a problem." I said, "My book just keeps growing. Mm-hmm. It's a monster, and I don't know where to stop it." I said, "Before I can finish it, I'll find out something else,
new, yeah.
Something new." And she said, "Well, here's what you need to do." And she told me exactly what to do. Stop it where I'm at, and I'm in a good spot, and write that, and then write another one that picks up where this leaves off. And the light bulb just clicked. And that works out for me, and I'm ready to just finish it up. So I've got all the content, I've got all the quotes, and I've got the order that I want to put it in. It's just a matter of, now that I'm through with school, I can focus on that and get it done.
Do you think you can get it done over the summer?
There's no doubt. I'm too far along. So
that's good.
So I'm excited. Found out that once I get the manuscript to the publisher, then it's going to take about 4 months, and it should be out.
And so are you at peace that you can basically just call time out on current events and how they are manifestations of what you talk about in your book and also reflect things you talk in the book. Are you at peace that you can literally do what Victoria advised you to do?
Absolutely. So I've been looking at the far out goal, and that's going to be the blockchain that they're building. And I know from the inside, listening to what people are saying, we're still a couple of years out. They're building stuff in Africa now, in South America, and in a few other places. But they're building up the weaker nations first. And I'm kind of watching that, and they're on the very beginnings of that. So we're still a few years out, and I believe I can get another book cranked out after this one and stay up with everything.
Well,
now that I
there's
know
no
exactly
shortage
how
of
I
new
want to lay it
material.
out.
Things are happening.
It's what?
There's no shortage of new material
No.
that you can comment on, but that can be done in other vehicles as well as a book. You can do that with videos. You've done some that were extremely strong that I think people are attracted to. I need to ask you a question, though, Doug. I have seen you use the phrase blockchain. And at first I thought maybe I knew what it was, but every time you use it, it seems to be in a different context. So help me understand. What do you mean blockchain?
All right. So the blockchain is a network of computers, and they're called nodes.
Yeah.
And basically what this does is it decentralizes. So if you think in terms of you've got one computer on your end, I've got one computer on my end. That's a centralized network. It's one-to-one. But if you have multiple computers running at the same time, sharing the same information, then you've got a decentralized network. And what that does is it guarantees that if you've got, say you got 5 computers and they're all spitting out the same information, but then there's one rogue computer and it's spitting out something different, well, it will recognize it doesn't match up with everything else, and it will isolate that one and throw that data out. But it's a secure way to verify data. You're looking at so many different multitudes of applications that can be used on the blockchain. Student records, for instance. So if you, as a student, want to put your grade, or you get your grades entered into the blockchain network, and they stay with you the rest of your life. So if you migrate to another country and you can't get in touch with the school that has your records, or if the school gets blown up or burned or something, you still got that on the blockchain, and you still got that record. People can't go in and change it. It's a permanent record. So there's lots of really good uses for the blockchain. I know I tend to focus on the negative stuff, just as a warning to people, but as I've dug into it, there's a lot of good uses that are going to come out of this. A lot of nations are going to be lifted up out of poverty as we go into this new global decentralized economy. I think we need to be preparing for that. I'm disappointed that it gets downplayed, because it's such a revolutionary technology, and it's going to catch a lot of people by surprise. So if you're listening to this, I do encourage you to do some homework on the cryptocurrencies and the blockchain, and see how it's going to affect you financially in the future. And I'm talking 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. So
I was fascinated when you made the graphic, is allowing grace to transform our lives. Not allowing grace into our life, not allowing grace to change our lives necessarily, as a chronic or a acute event, but your description sounds more chronic. Like that grace is a transforming, it's almost transcendent.
So what I meant by that is I woke up in the middle of the night and I have all these thoughts, and Satan really wants to get in and wear your mind out. And one of the thoughts that came to me was just leave room for God's grace. Don't overthink everything, which I tend to try to do. And it was just so freeing to hear that, and the idea of just letting God be God. Ecclesiastes 11. I had a friend I met at the conference, and this person really kind of challenged me on this in a good way, to think about things from a more empathetic point of view. And I caught myself. I realized I do get on the scales and lean way too far over into the realm of the area that kind of scares people, and I need to come back, because as the good shepherd would do, Jesus was attracted to everyone, everyone that had a heart for God, and he went out and he found the broken, he found the wounded, and he healed them, and he brought them back in. And I had an incident where a student actually went to the dean and complained about a topic that I was talking about, and it caught me off guard. I teach a couple of hundred students every semester, and I've been doing this for 7 years at least, and this is the first time this has ever happened. And I thought about that, and after this person brought up this idea of being more empathetic, it hit me that possibly I'm repelling some people that I may not have known about. Maybe this is just the first person that said that, because this is a very heavy topic that I'm writing about. It's very challenging, and I'm not really leaving enough room for God's grace when I'm just talking about that. And I don't know the future. Ecclesiastes 11, it mentions it 3 times. You don't know the future, and I'm very hopeful. I hope that I've expressed that message very clearly. I'm hopeful of what God is going to do. 2 Chronicles 7:14, you've heard me quote that several times. If we just do what God's saying, humble ourselves and pray, who knows? Maybe we can avoid some of the negative stuff that I hear talked about. But there's always hope, and that's the message I want to send out: is God always leaves hope.
Well, Doug, there's a basic dichotomy here. In the years that we have spent working together and talking and fellowshipping, I could basically cast you into 2 roles. One is watchman on the wall, and the other is shepherd. Well, those are going in different directions. The watchman on the wall, of course, will be proclaiming warning, danger. Where the shepherd is one that guides and leads and protects, but it's like your personality is split right down the middle. The subject matter that you deal with is difficult. Not to get concerned.
As my wonderful mentor Sherry Lynn Bisbano says, I've got to practice delicate discernment. And it's funny you said that, because we had this conversation this morning, and I do have those roles to fill, and I'm trying to figure out exactly how to fulfill those. Christ did a wonderful job of it. And if I want to be like Christ, I've got a lot of learning to do, a lot of studying.
Delicate discernment. Yeah. And so often we want to portray that part of Christ that fits our narrative of this gentle Mr. Rogers with a beard type, but he was also a warrior. He was a man's man, and he was not always, he was not timid. He was quite courageous, and I also love his sarcasm. Have you not read?
Yeah. But it's funny, because the shepherd, as gentle as they were with the animals and the sheep or whatever, they carried a big stick. And God has told me very clearly many, many, many times to stand as an iron pillar, as a bronze wall. Mm-hmm. And I know that these things are going to come. There may be a day that I get canceled for what I have to say, but I have to say it. And I'm not going to shrink back. And I think that God understands that, and that maybe that's why he's laid this burden on my heart. But I have such a passion for people, and for the people that are oppressed all over the world, not just here, not just the ones that I can see. And I hope that comes out, that I'm passionate about God's justice and God's righteousness and fairness. And, God created us all in His image, and it bothers me tremendously when I see that image of God violated from one person to another. I talk to my students a lot about the golden rule, and I ask them, why is it the golden rule? And the answer simply, it works. It just works. So,
Well, and why gold? Why the golden rule?
it's
Well,
so precious.
gold has always been held in the highest esteem, almost to the point of insanity. Um, but yeah, it's the golden rule because it's pure. Gold is probably the most pure substance on the periodic chart. It just won't rust. It won't combine with anything. It won't corrode. It's pretty pure, but it's also very malleable. So we have to be
Yes.
pure,
So
but we also have to be malleable.
adaptable, malleable, changeable. Yep.
Wow, I never thought of
Yep.
that. I'm getting chills.
Well, you're the scientist in the group here, so um,
Well, when they're making gold, uh, they have to heat it, and then the impurities rise up to the top, and they skim off
yes.
those impurities. You know how they know when the gold is pure and they've got it all?
No, tell
When you
me.
can see the reflection of yourself in the gold.
Mm,
And if
wow.
we are to be like gold, we should be so pure that we reflect the image of God in its brilliance and its Shekinah glory. Um, I
I
get
love the
chills
way you
thinking
put
about these
that.
kind of things.
I love the way you put that. That was deep. That was good.
I enjoy talking to you, Doug. I wish we had more time. We've only got a couple minutes left. Um, the book that you keep promising. Now you kind of rolled it out. You're gonna have it to the publisher by the end of the summer. Okay, so what's your best guess? When can we go buy this thing?
So I'll tell you.
Please do.
Basically, I was sitting in an Amazon marketing class, and they said, "Do not tell your family and friends about it until after it gets rolled out, because what happens is they'll jump in and buy it, and the Amazon algorithms will read into this and say, well, I don't even know what this book is about, because the target audience, the people that are buying it, buy everything else,
Mm-hmm.
and so it kind of messes with the algorithm." And he said, you need to pitch it out to your target audience first. After it starts to get ranked and build up in ranking, then you can kind of tell your friends and family about it. But 7 months, maybe, I don't
End of
know.
year.
You'll have to ask Joyce and Sherry Lynn about that.
Okay. Well, Sherilyn will be on here sooner or later, but actually, once you hand it over, at that point, you're done. Oh, real quick. It has
Yes.
random thought. Pilate washed his hands.
Okay.
He used a basin filled with water
Mm-hmm.
to serve himself to say, I'm out of this. Jesus, just prior to that, used a basin to wash the feet of his disciples, one of which he knew would betray him. Just a random thought. Two basins.
Two bases, and I had the laver that they carried around in the wilderness in my mind,
Yeah.
where you had to look in and see yourself all covered in the gore after you made the sacrifice and wash yourself
It is.
before you could go into the holy place.
When are we going to see another one of those videos you do?
Probably soon. I've been wanting to make one. I've been waking up early in the morning and getting ready to go make one, and then it just at the last minute I get sidetracked or something
The
happens.
last one you
But
did only got north of 1,000 views.
well, I'm going to try to infuse the next one with a lot more grace in it,
Okay.
because we got to leave room for God's grace, right?
Well, I think that's the message as we see the world's events unfolding and we see the calamity, we see the evil, we want to call, well, yeah, I guess it gets back to something I learned at a conference. You were so gracious. Anybody can damn the darkness.
Yes.
That's easy. Light a candle.
I'll never forget that.
I don't even remember who said it, but it was profound.
Yes.
All right.
And that's what I want to do. I want to be this, reflect the Shekinah glory in the darkness, because God knows we're going to need it.
As we make that move in sanctification toward glory, hopefully we do that better and better each day. Well, Doug, we gotta skip right now. I hope you'll come join us in the chat room if you're not already there, and see all the nice things that people said about you. And we appreciate you sharing with us. And Doug, you keep persevering and you keep moving forward. And we look forward to seeing you about this time next month.
Sounds great, Coach. Thank you so much.
Love you, brother.
All right, bye.
All right, Carter. Hey, there you see the view high atop the Eagles Nest broadcast facilities here at pjnet.tv. And the fun is not over. At the bottom of the hour, Casper from Colorado is going to hopefully bring us a special guest that will join him, and I've got to make a lot of changes between now and then. Before I leave, I challenge you to ask yourself these 2 questions. First, what is the boldest thing that you have ever done for Jesus Christ? Second question, when was that? I hope none of us will be satisfied with either answer.